Hello, welcome to Radiant Realization with Namrata. Here we deep dive into captivating conversations about life. Today I have with me Mauli. She is a designer by education, vocalist at heart, and a practitioner of yoga for life. Molly is the founder of Damru Yoga and Sound Therapy Center. Is a trained integrative sound healing expert and a yoga therapist. She loves to design and combine the use of indigenous powerful healing sound in her yoga practice that helps to heal individual at emotional, mental, and physical level. Molly comes with 3 master degree and in-depth training in Vedic mantras, a student of Hindustani classical vocal music since childhood. Molly is deeply attuned to work with sound medicine as a healing modality. Welcome, Molly. I am pleased to have you today.
Thank you. Thank you, Namrata, for having me here.
And I am excited on the topic that we are going to discuss today, sound healing. So, Molly, what is sound healing?
So, sound is a topic, Namrata, which is very close to my heart. Since childhood, I have been trained in music, so I am very, very attuned to sounds all around us. When we talk about sound healing, generally human brains are wired to respond to sounds. Suddenly, if I start shouting loudly, angrily, you will feel a certain emotion. And if I soothingly talk, like when we sing the lullabies to the baby, they sleep off, they relax. Simple birds chirping in the forest. There's a lot of science behind that, but we feel very relaxed. We feel very safe in those sounds. So this is a natural phenomena that happens anyways. But when we talk about formal integrative sound medicine or vibrational healing, as we the sound healing is also called vibrational healing. Here we deal with particular frequencies and how they work on the human brain, the cellular frequencies, how we can create resonant effects and thereby bring about wellness or healing results. So that's the whole background of what is sound healing.
This entire sound healing as a modality came into practice. What is the origin of this?
Sound origin is as old as we are and older than us actually. Uh, okay, let's get to the history we are talking about. In the Sanatana folds, we have this word that you might have heard, Nada Brahman, or even in the scientific language, we talk about this Big Bang. So this whole universe came about with a big sound, and sound is the fabric from which we all came about. So we are actually frequencies which are at a grossified level. We become this matter, this mass that we are. But essentially, I am all frequencies. You are all frequencies. This everything is frequencies. So yeah, the origin, when you see about specifically about using sound as a healing modality, if we see all the ancient cultures, all the religions, everywhere there has to be the presence of some form of sound practice. So, of course, our Vedic chants, they were sung in the temple architecture and they used to create certain frequencies. Okay, before we get there, sound can be used, I mean, in the context that we are talking today, one as a healing modality in terms of physical healing, another would be emotional healing, and then spiritual evolution. So I am kind of tuning myself to the higher levels of consciousness. The sound can be used in different ways. When I talk about indigenous or ancient cultures, like the Vedic chanting, the mantras that we used to chant, the Gregorian chant from the Roman Catholic churches, those were spiritual incantations. Then, when we see the indigenous African, you might have seen people who are drumming. I mean, not the today's thing. I'm talking about the ancient times, creating different instruments. The Australian Aborigines, the Native Americans, everywhere you'll find. Those are more of community building, emotional balance, physical healing. So, yeah, since those ancient times, till recently in the 17th, 18th, 19th century, there were people who put sound in a very formal way. I mean, formal way in the modern sense that we are seeing it now, and named it vibrational healing or sound medicine or sonic science is what it is called. So yeah, that's how we come along. Now these days, you will see when we talk about sound healing, people use different instruments. That is one. So the Himalayan bowls are there. There are tuning forks. There are gongs. Yeah, so gong reminds even the Tibetan monks, ancient tradition. When we talk about, they had this big gongs in their monasteries, and for kilometers across the mountains, the sound would reverberate. So these are the kind of different instruments. Many more there are. Human voice. That's the most powerful instrument for sound healing, and that's why the child with a mother's soothing voice. It's a very healing sound. When children don't get that, they become very unsettled. They start feeling unsafe. So yeah, human voice is one. So different instruments, including our own self as an instrument, since ancient time till today. And nowadays there are devices which are available. So where I can set that device to a particular frequency. It could be a, a single pitch voice or a single frequency coming, or when we use this bowls, there are multiple tonalities and harmonics generated. So those are also the, now you might have seen on YouTube also we use binaural beats. That is for brain entrainment. I think we'll come to that. But yeah, it has evolved over, I think, since the existence came about.
And how does this sound work on body and our mind?
How does this sound? So yeah, so we already kind of talked about it. See, when one is, when we talk about the human body, uh, we work holistically, integratively. It is not that, okay, if right now my brain is working, my vocal cords are not working, everything happens together. But for the sake of understanding, we divide it. Okay, so that's how I'm dividing it right now. That there are uh, cellular frequencies, or cellular vibrations that you are exposed to when we are working in sound medicine. That has a certain effect on the body. Then, if you've heard of, there are different brainwave states. So something very commonly you come across is, oh, when I did meditation, my brain went into a alpha state. So there are these frequencies, the alpha frequency. Then if you go beyond the 12 to 20 hertz, it becomes the beta frequency. Sorry, 30, and 30 to 100 will be a gamma frequency. Beneath the alpha, if you go deeper into the meditations with sound or with other modalities, you could access the delta and the theta states. Now, these are the states where the brain is very, very creative, spontaneous, and a higher potential comes about. So, that's an effort. So, there are certain brain frequencies. Then you might have heard of solfeggio frequencies, or even in the Indian folds, when we say sari gama pada nisa, every swara, every frequency and its harmonic creates a particular rasa or an effect or an emotional connect to that. So it works at so many levels, at the body level, at the mind level, and okay, I don't know if you're going there, but there are chitta samskaras which we carry for so many janmas. There are deep rooted patterns that we have been following over lifetimes. Sound is the only modality that can go as deep as to alter those. That is the Indian way of saying that. You also might have heard some people saying that, oh, we can do the DNA repair. There are frequencies which work on changing the DNA. What is that? That is epigenetics. So sound can work at the level of epigenetics, a very physical endocrine balance, release of endorphins, and therefore decreasing chronic pain, de-stressing, sleep issues. Lot of people these days come with that. So yeah, all over you can see the effect of sound in the physical part of our being, in the emotional and the spiritual, the consciousness part. So that's how it works across the planes that we exist in.
What is the difference and on impact these different hertz they have on body and mind?
Uh, Different frequencies work differently on our body. So before I get into hertz, in the Indian music, there is a consonance and dissonance. So when two swaras come together, if they connect in a harmonic way, the interval is harmonic, it feels very pleasant. If it comes in a non-harmonic way, it doesn't feel very nice. For example, sa pa, they just go together very well. So these are the consonant sounds. And then sa re, sa. It has a very unsettling, mysterious kind of an effect. So you see, when even in the movies that we see, when there is a happy song, there will be certain swaras used. When there is a all these suspense thrillers, there will be a different kind of music. When there's a horror film, to evoke that fear, there is a different combination of swaras that they use. So now you know that different frequencies evoke different kind of feelings in you. So this is easy to understand. That's why I took that example. Then it has come down to now we use different frequencies. So 432 hertz is a very, very beautiful frequency. It is a very healing frequency. If you are anxious, it will bring you to a calm state of being. It also works as a pain relief kind of frequency of people who are having sleeping issues. Then there is a 512 that also corresponds with the heart chakra, and that is a frequency they call about for miracles. See, when we say miracles, it is what it is, that it is aligning me with from within. So I am operating at a higher potential, and I accomplish things that I feel, wow, this is a miracle. I attract resonances. So 512 is that kind of a frequency, and so on and so forth. There are many, many frequencies that we work with. There's a list of them. Some frequencies we use for people who are suffering from depression, so to mood enhance or lift them up. Some frequencies automatically create focus, concentration. So while you are working, if that is on, distractions will be lesser. So yeah, there is a range and so many things that we use, not just for because I'm a therapist, people come with some form of ailment or disease. That is one part. But in general life, to enhance our own well-being and efficiency, we could use these sounds and frequencies. Interesting part. When there is, say, suppose there is a couple, husband and wife, or any two people, say two friends or colleagues in the office, if you are doing certain practices together, sound practices, I mean, the brains entrain. So now all these brains are at a similar wavelength, which means that Namrata says, suppose I had a conflict with you. Generally, I don't get along well. When you do brain entrainment, lot of conflicts will be automatically ironed out. Now we get along very well. That's a magical thing we use, especially in my practice. When it comes to couples counseling, I definitely give them some sound practices to do together, and they feel, oh wow, nothing changed and it's magic, we are not fighting anymore. Or when I do corporate workshops, we within the office staff, we make them do things together with sound. So yeah, you can use different frequencies, different intonations to create desired effects. So that's how powerful it can be.
Okay. So Molly, to build cordial relation with office colleagues, what sound frequency should be used?
No, then that's where we make them chant together. Okay, but there are instruments also. So brain entrainment happens when there are two frequencies very close to each other. So you must have heard of musics where the right ear is having a different frequency, the left is having a different frequency. So my right lobe and left lobe, the brain lobes, are exposed to both these frequencies, which are slightly away, very slightly away from each other. This creates that brain entrainment, but that's a individual thing. But when you're doing it collectively, ideally I make them chant. I mean, that's my go-to thing. Because when you are creating your own voice, it becomes so much more powerful than an external instrument. So yeah, when we go into corporates, it's fun actually for them also because they're so uptight and reserved, and we have to be this way. And I just loosen them up, make them chant funny sounds, different sounds, or sometimes we just chant Om. So yeah, there are different ways to bring about that cohesive environment in workspaces, at home, wherever.
Misconception around sound healing.
Yeah, not one. There are actually many, but yeah. So a lot of people come with this thing that, oh, but I don't know if it is scientific. I don't believe in it. Okay, you don't need to believe. It's an experiential thing. Yeah, I may believe, I may not believe, but what I experience is real. So yeah, misconceptions also come in because I am a teacher of Vedic chanting. People think it's a religious thing that I am doing in terms of this faith or that faith. So say for example the Vedic chants. When it comes to Vedic chanting, it's the frequency that matters. It doesn't matter whether I am following Sanatana Dharma or whether I am a Christian or whether I am some other faith I'm following. It's the sound, and sound works on everybody. It's working on a human being level. So this misconception of sound as a in a religious box, we need to take it out. So a lot of people from outside of India come for our trainings, the Vedic chanting and all. They don't know Sanskrit, they don't know the Indian culture, they don't know Hinduism, they don't know Sanatana, and yet it works on them. So that one big obstacle is something that we can remove. Sound is universal. So that is one big misconception that we comes up. It comes about. Uh, Sound happens works only when it is a in-person interaction. No, we do group sound meditations and they work beautifully. So that's another misconception that people face. Also, they're not so aware of so many different type of sound modalities. So different instruments, that's a human psyche. So somebody who loves this Himalayan bowls, when I do those sessions with those pulse tubes and bowls and chimes, when I get in a tuning fork, they feel, oh no, I have seen this somewhere else, I don't want to do this. There are so many resistances at times. So I feel that's a misconception that only some instruments work on me. Sound works on everybody and all kinds of sound. It has to be the sound healer who decides that what is right for the person in front of them or what works the best. If that is done, no, it can work on anybody. So yeah. Otherwise, yes, the science about sound. Some people say it's a pseudoscience. It has been there since ancient times. Nothing. We today feel that everything has to fall in the scientific parlance of the modern science analogy. It can go much beyond that. Like if when I say that it can work on the chitta samskaras of the previous lifetimes. Now the science doesn't approve of it. So be it. We are so bound by, oh, it has to be scientific. So if we remove those kind of close-minded approaches, we experience a different canvas of sound. That's what I feel is important.
Most of the For most of the practices, when we start doing them, we say that take sankalpa or put an intention out there. So, is there some intention setting that goes on when we start with a sound healing session?
A very beautiful question, Amrita, because all along, since we started, we have been talking about frequencies and what vibrations they are creating. It is a sonic science, the science of frequencies, or again and again and again. And it works universally on everybody. A 432 hertz ka frequency will work on everybody equally. But along with that, if I also contribute my energies, my attention, my faith to that, that combination becomes very powerful. So, what happens when we are intention setting? Uh, my brain is aware of a particular goal or an intention or a sankalpa. So, I am taking my energies and focusing that on one point, and then those vibrations are still working. So, when these vibrations and the intention they come together, it becomes extremely powerful. So, for example, there is this Saraswati Bija mantra. Om I'm Saraswatyai Namaha. This is I'm. This frequency will kickstart or enhance the learning centers in the brain. So, whether anybody knows who is Ma Saraswati or not, it will still work on them definitely. But knowing about her, so you have this image of Saraswati who is clad in white with a veena and a swan. This also helps because what is her role as a deity or as a energy format? What is the role of that energy? So you are focusing on those. So when you are talking or when you say Saraswati, in your mind your energies are not going towards Hanumana or Durga. You know what is going on. So it helps. Whenever there is a intention or knowing along with frequency, it makes it very, very powerful. So yeah, ideally both together work.
You
Sorry.
use you use couple of different like sound bowls, tuning forks. All those different instruments are being used by you when you give sound healing training to your students or your clients. How does this specific instrument contribute to the healing process?
Yeah, different instruments have different characteristics. So some things that a tuning fork can do, a sound drum may not do. But what a sound drum does, the tuning fork may not do. And both cannot do something that a gong would do. So yeah, so what we are different instrument like we have even in the music when we use there are string instruments, then the wind instruments, percussion, they all have a different effect on us. Having said that, when we are training, we have to train the students to understand that what is happening. So some instruments, uh, so say specific bowl, a Himalayan bowl, if I am taking or a tuning fork, it emits specific frequencies. But the tuning fork, if it is a 432 ka or 512 ka tuning fork, when I hit it, that exact frequency it is tuned to and that is released in the body. While a singing bowl of 512 will create harmonics. So that becomes vibration rich and that works more on the cellular vibration. So both are doing kind of similar things in a way when we talk about the frequencies, but the effect changes. Um, the sound drums, they work deeply for us when it is about emotional healing and releasing suppressed emotions. Drums do it like in a way that no other instrument can do. It just opens our heart to release all those suppressed emotions. So one is being vibration rich, another is their frequency or harmonics that they create. Uh, some are precision instruments like the tuning forks, which also then we can use for brain entrainment because there we knew we wanted this little difference. How do you bring about? Then you take precision instruments. So then there are gongs which go very, very deep into our psyche, and they work as deep stress releasing and consciousness shifting kind of instruments. What do we call them? uh, we use conch shells, and there is a thing made of that. That's a very soothing sound. It feels like, okay, there is a river flowing kind of a sound, and you feel very nice about it. It's a different effect. um, See, these different instruments, we also train people in understanding five elements at the level of which we operate: so earth, water, fire, air, and ether. And what different instruments can bring about those different kind of feelings or connections to those elemental energies. Then you might have seen there are bells and chimes, and they have again a very. So if you say you're standing here and there is a temple bell that rings, or a church bell that rings, it does something different to you. So when to use what is what sound medicine is all about. But yes, there are so many instruments, and one that I didn't mention right now is the human voice. So there is a whole training, voice training that we give. So how modulating my voice. There is a voice that I'm talking to you right now. Then there is a voice which is very, you can say hypnotic voice, or it is a down trance voice. And then if somebody needs that active thing, then there is a up trance voice. There is a happy voice. There is a very low energy voice. You keep changing, modulating. So that's also a part of my range of instruments. I hear a lot of them in my vocal cord. Yeah.
How does all these instruments impact brain waves, mental state? What goes when we hear this sound and how our body experiences this sound?
Like I said right in the beginning, that the human brains, even animals actually to an extent, but we are deeper in tune to respond to sounds. So different sounds automatically create either through resonance, either through reverberation and vibration, or through what did we talk about just before? The entrainment. So many things come together to create an effect. Now, how do they? It is a matter of trial and error that has come about over a period of centuries. That this is the kind of sound, this is how you are going to feel. Like I'll tell you, the human voice, for example, if I have to make them feel very relaxed and grounding kind of an experience, then we will use lower frequencies. And if I have to activate them, I'll use a higher pitch, a higher frequency. Somebody who is very, very, like, so many thoughts going on, they just can't stop, the mind is on and on and on. To begin with, they will need higher sound, higher pitches. While we think that, oh, high pitch is activating and they are already hyper activated, the lower sounds they'll not relate only. So we start with high, then gradually as they connect and resonate with that there is a bond that gets created with that frequency and that state of mind. And gradually we pull them down into a lower frequency. And then because they are pulled down, automatically the correspondent state of relaxation will be present. So, okay, in a medical language, essentially it is a parasympathetic nervous system activation that we bring about. So yeah, we use so frequencies. One is a direct correlation. This will do this, this will do this. But when a person is here, alive, in flesh and blood with all their issues, that frequency may not directly work. You may have to take them, handhold them from where they are to where we want to take them. Imagine somebody who is hardwired to um, this rock music, क्या कहते हैं, metal. है ना? They are so tuned to those kind of frequencies, and now you bring them to Indian classical music concert, they'll get bored. What is that boredom actually? That suddenly that gamma or beta frequency is pulled down into alpha state, and they get confused that what is that state. They don't feel peaceful, they feel sleepy. Because that overactive mind, when it is brought down to a state of calm, all it needs is to rest and it feels okay. Now it is the time to sleep. You will see a lot of people who are not connoisseurs of Indian music, they'll sleep off in a classical music concert. The why is that? Because their brain waves have come down to alpha and they have been conditioned that this state is sleep state. But that's very clever when you see a classical musician performing. I'm talking about the Hindustani classical music or Drupad. Uh, they will start with a long round of alap,
Hmm.
so like a slow progression. You know what they're essentially doing? They're entraining the brains of their audience. And once they're entrained, they are there with them. Now they can take them on a journey which can transcend this physical world. So yeah, frequencies can be played around with. You just need to have a knack of it.
When we work with this, when you work with this sound, Molly, how does it help in releasing some emotional trauma or some past emotion or any chronic pain that an individual is carrying through?
Okay. See, if I am carrying a chronic pain, say it is just a graphical representation. Let's say I am feeling this much of pain, which is chronic since long time. Along with that, there is also a frustration of that chronic pain. Ki, yaar, why is this not going? Along with that, there is also a fear of that what if this aggravates? Along with that, I have also trained my body to stiffen up along that part to keep it safe. So it's not just the pain, but so many other levels of pain that come along with chronic pain. When we do a sound session with them, first thing is they feel very relaxed. Second thing is there are endorphins released, which act as painkillers. Third thing is those stiff muscles, when they relax, are also relaxing. So automatically the pain which was perceived as say 7 on 10 will come to 4 on 10 by default. Now about this pain itself, the actual chronic pain is also because of, see, sometimes there are so many emotional connections to our chronic pains. If I am holding a long seated pain in my neck or in my upper back, it could be because I am very, or at least I feel I am very burdened by maybe responsibilities and so many things in life. If I am carrying a chronic pain in my lower back, I have a feeling of lack of being supported. I'll tell you, see, there are so many things that could come along for a chronic pain patient. Essentially, when we do a sound healing session, one, like I told you, from the anxiety or a sympathetic nervous system activated state, they come to the parasympathetic activation. Second, very interesting thing that happens is when they feel relaxed, when they feel very safe, the conscious mind gives way for the subconscious to emerge and work. So when I called myself a sound healer, actually I am not. I am just a facilitator. The healing happens by the individual himself or herself. The subconscious mind exactly knows what is needed. We are beings designed where we have the capacity to heal ourselves. Even animals, you see, some animal who is not well, you will see they'll stop eating, they will stop moving, and they know how to heal, what plant to eat. Similarly, we also have, in fact, much more deeper sense of how to repair ourselves and thrive from there. But that happens only when we are in the parasympathetic state, which in our modern lifestyles, we just don't go there. We stay locked in the sympathetic activation. So once you take a person there, and at the same time, the subconscious mind knows what needs to be done, the emotions which are suppressed for years and years are released. Lot of sessions we have, and after the session, People just keep crying and releasing, or some want to just write and write and write. Cathartic kind of a result emerges, and that they in that moment they're releasing so much that was held for many years, and just by that the chronic pain disappeared, and we feel it's magic. There was one girl coming who had facial paralysis. Half of her face was paralyzed. That was essentially at the root cause because of some trauma that she had faced in her personal life. So after some number of sound sessions, and there was no such talking, counseling, nothing, just sound, 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 and she just healed, not just healed, she's thriving. I'm still in touch with her. Yeah, so it feels magic, but our body responds. The subconscious mind acts. The parasympathetic nervous system helps us come into that healing state. So many things happen, and therefore, all of these things that you're saying, it becomes very therapeutic.
Molly, what is the relation between sound and our chakras?
Chakras. That's a whole big topic. We could do an overview, but yes, these are this energy vortexes, and when some anything that is moving is creating friction, is creating sound. Yeah, if I'm doing, that was a sound because two things collided. But even if I do this, which you can't hear right now, there is a softer sound. My breath is having a sound. Everything that is colliding or moving and rubbing is having a sound. Now, if you imagine an energy vortex in the body which is rotating at a high speed, of course, there is a sound, there is a frequency to that. When we can resonate with those frequencies, how do I explain? Yeah, so sometimes because of whatever we go through in our life, or because of there are so many n number of reasons, whatever is my natural frequency, I may go out of sync from that. But innately, I know this is my natural frequency. But right now, I am maybe somewhere here, maybe somewhere here. When I create this same frequency from outside and it resonates, you know what is resonance, right? When two wavelengths of equal, I mean, two frequencies, equal wavelength, the amplitude jumps up, it doubles up. So, so here we are, but right now functioning here. When this resonant frequency comes in, there is a jump in the amplitude, and when it comes back, it comes to its natural frequency. That is healing in a very nutshell kind of a thing. So why we are doing what we are doing with chakras, we are creating frequencies which are resonant to the inherent that particular chakra frequency. Again, disclaimer that this doesn't happen as a one time thing. अगर मैंने अपना पैटर्न बना लिया है कि आई एम गोइंग टू अंडर vibrate or over, this is a pattern I have created. So once I do, I come back, wow, I feel. But in 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 1 week, because of my conditioning and old patterns, I'll come back here, or I'll come back where I was, because that's my comfort zone. Again I do a sound practice, again that resonates, again I come here, again I maybe move back 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, and you realize that wow, this is a wow state, and I think I can learn to be here. Then gradually your system puts in that effort that this time when the resonance happens, after a week or 1 month or whatever, I consciously don't go here. I learn to stay here. And yeah, that's healing. So these chakras, when we talk about, it has to be a repetitive practice, again and again and again, till you create those neural or change those neural connections to maintain that chakra balance. But yeah, I am just touching it at a very nutshell level. We can focus on, one is the human chants, the bija mantras that work the best. And then, of course, every chakra will have a different frequency, and we can expose the people to that frequency. That also works.
From you, on YouTube, we get a lot of this sound, instrumental sound, musical sound, and when we listen to them, most of the time. See, there are some sounds that are 8 hours long. They say if you listen to this during the night, you will get good sleep or healing. How much effect is body absorbing by listening to this sound from YouTube?
Mm, yeah, it's a digitized sound. So of course the act, yeah, that's something that if you are in the forest and listening to those birds chirping and the sun rising and the winds touching you, it's a different feel. And you're listening in your earphones over YouTube or some other podcast, of course there is a shift. The way the sounds approach you in a live setup versus a digitized setup will change. Having said this, I am sitting in a very urban setup right now. I don't have access to a forest, but evolutionary, how our brain has come from millions of years, there are certain sounds of nature that make us immediately feel very peaceful. So then, if I can't go to a mountain or a river right now, staying in an urban setup, YouTube is not a bad option. So it cannot be as good as being in the real time and space, but yes, it's good. But when you said something else that I wanted to focus that, oh, if you are exposed to that 8 hours of that, how much does it work? Every sound, not just 8 hours, what you are speaking, what you are hearing, everything is making you, your configuration is constantly being altered by what sound is entering and going out of your system. So that's why be very, very, very aware of what you're speaking, even what you're thinking. The thoughts also have a vibration. So in our Sanatana, we have man, karma, and vacha. So yeah, mind we understand, the karma we understand. What is about speech? It's this, that every sound that is coming out of me is staying here and it is affecting me. So if I am using a very abusive kind of language, while that abuse is meant for somebody else, but that sound is affecting me because I am also in the same space. Or if I am creating a very sharp, annoying sound for somebody else, just check. If you are very angry on somebody and you are speaking in a very rude, harsh tone, it is affecting you also. You are having that burning effect in you. We don't know what is happening to the second person for whom it is meant, but definitely you are suffering. So, yes, everything that comes out affects us, or everything, what music I'm hearing, everything, everything. My music teacher used to say that, so it's just an incident that we were in my car. I didn't even think, I just put the radio on and some song was going on and I was not even aware kuch bhi chal raha hai. And he immediately stopped that and he said that every sound that is going on your psyche is affecting you. So if you want to become a classical vocalist, then you have to be very careful of not listening to this trash because that will also, right, modifies. So purification nahi rehta. Akshara. So uh, while we are talking in English, the Sanskrit alphabet or anything, when we speak, we say it's a akshara alphabet. What is that? Kshara is to destroy or be destroyed. Akshara, that which can never be destroyed. So today, what you are speaking to me and I am speaking to you, this sound in this room is going to be there forever. And you know, there are instruments, the CIA people and all, they can actually come to this room maybe after a week of this podcast. And in this room, they can set the devices and they can actually recreate what we spoke because it's
Wow.
still here. Or, for example, when people come to my center, when they come to Damru, there is a immediate, it doesn't need to be a person who's very, attuned to sound or anything. Anybody who comes in, whether it's a plumber, electrician, or somebody who's come for a healing session or randomly, they'll feel that, oh, when I step in here, I feel very nice, healing. very peaceful. Damru has a very beautiful vibe. What is that? The human being is we don't just know that we know. We perceive things. हमको पता नहीं है कि हमको पता है. But everybody feels that. Sometimes you will also sense when you are with somebody or in some environment, you'll not feel nice. When you are with some person or with some kind of a, these are all vibrations and you feel very nice in their presence. और किसी की आवाज बहुत अच्छी लग गई. अच्छा लता जी की आवाज सुन के ओ आई फील दिस or somebody whatever whoever is your favorite, yes, they work on us in a big way. So yeah, so I forgot what was the question, but what kind of sounds which we expose ourselves to is very important, even at the thought level. So I might be talking very sweet to you. In my mind, I am not thinking of that about you. That is affecting whom? Me only. So we have to be very vigilant. That's why the spiritual practices come about, where we can train our mind, our thoughts, our speech, our action, everything in alignment.
Spoke about instrumental. We spoke about human voice. What is the role of silence in sound?
That's the most powerful, no? Uh, yeah. Silence is the canvas from which these sounds are arising, and then again that wave subsides there. At spiritual levels, silence is the place where you go to. But right now we are talking about uh, sound medicine, sound healing. So I'll talk practically about how we can use different ways of using silence within our session. So say suppose right now I'm speaking to you and I'm taking breaks, I'm taking pauses. That is adding meaning, that is adding a feeling to this conversation. But suppose I start speaking with you without any break, without any pause, without any silence, and I keep on speaking and I keep on speaking, you will lose a track of what is the meaning of what I am speaking. It's only when I stop, you will feel good, she stopped. I'm feeling relaxed now. I couldn't tolerate her talking. So sometimes we use silence to create that relaxation state for them. And to create that to happen in silence, we deliberately increase the sounds and then suddenly it stops. And they drop into a very deep state of relaxation. So that's how we use silence and sound as a combination. Sometimes it is used for emotional management. Somebody who's very panic attack, they coming with that. How do we use silence along with their breath or aware? See, when I am silent, I'm aware of so many other things. And suddenly that mindfulness comes about, which was lacking because I was so full of other things. And that brings me a kind of centering feeling. And then there is an inner silence. Outside I'm speaking, but there is a deep, relaxed, centering, calm, inner silence that happens. That becomes very empowering. So different ways. One is the absolute silence. One is the relative silence, like I use the sound and then silence. It is in that silence is in relation to the sounds that I created. One is absolute silence. When we are taught certain meditation techniques, we sit in silence. And one is the inner silence, is that stillness that comes about. But yeah, silence is used for increasing focus clarity. Silence is used to de-stress sometimes. It is used for centering. It is used for self-awareness and introspection. Pauses are always necessary. So even in the Vedic chanting, even in the Gregorian chants, you will see that there are consciously designed silence K intervals that will just enhance the effect of the sound. Then in Nada Yoga, Laya Yoga, that's what we say, that we actually dissolve into that silence. So, role of silence is huge at a spiritual level, but at our day-to-day level, it can help us create contrast. It can help us reset what is going on. It can amplify. It can integrate. So, yeah, so many different ways. It's a very powerful tool to use. One just should know how to use it, and silence comes in very handy.
Well, you gave a lot of knowledge about how sound healing is working, what is the origin, how different instruments have different effect on us. But how can we use this sound healing practices in our day-to-day life at home that will help us to balance our emotion at the end of the day or not get into anxiety or argument mode, just able to manage ourselves.
Like I talk about brain entrainment, that helps to get out of that argument mode and anxiety. But see, there are certain universal sounds, the sounds of nature, which you have now, like you said, access to the YouTube where there are well recorded sounds. Or if you're staying in a place where you have access to nature, that is one you can do. Another thing, simple chants like Om. And there is a lot of research and books written, so we don't need to go into what are the benefits of Omkar and all. But chanting that, say you are 10 minutes doing humming breath, Brahmari. It's a humming sound. Mm, it brings us into a alpha state. Like within 10 minutes, it will get you there. 10 to 15 minutes. Or you're doing Omkar. Simple practices. Or I don't know if a person is inclined to music a little bit, then just going through the sa re ga ma pa da ni sa ni da pa ma ga re sa. Practice this and you will feel that, oh, but you're feeling much better. Then these are simple things that we could do at home. I would say that if a person is really feeling connected to healing through sound or using sound as a medicine, they should learn sound. And it's okay to expose ourselves to a little bit of learning of what these frequencies are doing, what these mantras are doing, what these instruments are doing. Train yourself and then do it. Then the power is that you can do it for yourself and you can do it for others as well. That also brings a lot of joy. So yeah, every person. So in as therapists, we see people when they come, they approach us. Some people are very visual in nature, so they need visuals. Some people are kinesthetic, some people are auditory. So if you are the auditory kind, and you'll find on Google there will be these questionnaires kind of thing which will make you realize that, oh, I am a kinesthetic person, oh, I am an auditory person, oh, I'm a visual person. If you feel you're an auditory person and I mean, sound affects everybody, but you are more sensitive to sounds, then yes, why not? No, train yourself in any sound modality. You're just enhancing what superpower is already there within you. You're just awakening that and then use it for yourself, for others. So we run sound trainings at my center where, again, like I said, there are different levels. So somebody who is just okay, I don't want to be a teacher or anything, but I need my peace of mind and relaxation. You do your level one, learn how to do it for yourself. Okay. Then there'll be people who want to do it for others. Then they do higher levels. And then there are many like me who want to use sound for spiritual evolution. And that's a different ball game. But then we go really deep into sound, the Nada Yoga, Laya Yoga, Vedic chants, and how the frequencies work. So yeah, different levels, but at least the initial first level, I would say everybody should do to keep the home environment peaceful. In the workplace, if you have that access, but yeah, or at least your inner environment, not anything outside. So yeah.
I would say sound for inner environment is much more important and much like a need of ours, especially for me. at least it gives you a clarity of thought when your brain is calm and not under hustle of day-to-day chaos. So, Molly, thank you so much. All the insights that you gave around sound, the use of sound, the role of human voice in sound. I think it's taken for granted. Human voice. Many times I feel that we are not conscious about what we want to speak, how we want to speak. We are so much in that automatic zone. But you brought in that awareness that what it does.
I feel the human voice is the most important because the frequency that my vocal cord creates is automatically in line with my own bodily frequencies, my thought frequencies. So different people have different kind of voices. No? So some have a very deep bass voice. Some have a very high frequency voice, sweet kind of people. Some have a very heartfelt voice. This actually affect their personality and affect how they will affect others through their voice. The human voice can play a very, very big role, and especially training our voices in our shastras. Utpatti sthana, where is that sound coming from? Is it coming from throat? It is coming from the heart. It is coming from the nabi, from the navel. So when I hear a person and from where they are coming from, I can immediately know that what kind of person this is. Can I trust that person? I don't need to trust that person. Is he or she a authentic person, or they are just surface level people? So many things we can make out just out of how the voice is created. So human voice is a big canvas, and we all should actually, not so that we can see how other people are as good people, bad people, but say suppose we are not aware and we are creating voice which is making us not a very authentic person, then we can train our voice, and just by shifting that, you change your whole personality. That's why in ancient times all this chanting and mantras were so much a part of our everyday household things. Yeah, human voice is the biggest actually of all. And also because when there are instruments, they are coming from outside in, and they affect and they change the state of being and all of that. Wow, good, thank you. It's a good support system. But when it is the voice, it is an inside out phenomenon. That makes it all the way apart from other modalities. So human voice is something that I think all children, all parents actually, because I also work a lot in pregnancy, I keep telling all the parents that teach your children music, teach your children how to sing, how to use their voice confidently, expressing through voice. Yeah, not just for children actually, for all of us it is relevant.
So many families value many people, like my friends, while they were growing up, in their home only they had this sound training, like especially the South Indian people and all. I think on the Western side we have given up. We are very commercial.
Yes, the south of India has preserved that. The the sound and the dance, the rhythm, the सुर और लय दोनों को पकड़ के रखा है उन्होंने, which is a very very amazing thing. ठीक है, it's never late. Wherever we are born, we can start.
Yes, right. That's true. Okay, Molly, thank you so much for coming and sharing all your insights.
Pleasure is mine. Thank you, Namrata.